Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Bhagavavai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the divine being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the divine being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our open forum on meditation, which will be led this morning by Tom Carr. I've known Tom since I came here almost 11 years ago. Or is it 11 years ago? Anyway, I can't remember anymore. In any event, I've known Tom all that time. He was one of the first people I got to know. And he's been a member of the center since it was called the Eternal Quest and so on. And he is one of the most enthusiastic practitioners of meditation that I know. Very well qualified to lead this morning's discussion. So I will leave it to him. And if he has any other details he'd like to add of introduction, I would encourage him to do that. But let me just say I admire him from the bottom of my heart for his perseverance and his genuine interest in meditation and what it creates in our lives. So with that, Tom, take it away.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I've been told there's a crackling in my microphone, so there's nothing we can do about it. I hope that you can hear me. Is there anybody that can't, or no, would everybody that can hear me wave their hand or raise their hand so I can?
Everybody can hear you, Tom.
Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, so this is a meditation forum, and what we want to talk about is our actual experience. I imagine everybody here has read a lot of books about meditation, heard a lot of talks about meditation, thought a lot about meditation. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is what we actually know to be true from what we have personally experienced in meditation. Last year when I did this, we had a bunch of questions, a series of questions, and I'm going to ask the questions and then I'm going to answer them for myself, and then I'm going to open it up for a discussion of each question with a few exceptions. The first question was, what is meditation? And in talking to people, I realized people use the word meditation to refer to so many different things. Like I would ask somebody if they meditated, and one person would say, no, I don't meditate, I do japa. And another person would say, well, yes, I do japa, that's my meditation. So the word meditation isn't clearly defined. So meditation is whatever you want to call it. If you do something and you consider it meditation, then that's good. That's what we're talking about. The next question was, why meditate? And I found this video clip online of a little deaf girl who they put in cochlear implants. This is a common thing now. She had never heard. She had never experienced hearing in her life. And then she did hear for the first time, and they filmed her the first time she'd ever heard anything. Think of what that might be like if you had no idea what sound was. You know, it's something you had never experienced, and then suddenly you heard something. So Cindy, show the film clip, please.
I will do that. Up, 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 up.
Okay, so I love that. And sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, or a film clip is worth 1,000,000 words. That sense of total surprise, of something totally unexpected, that is just so joyful and overwhelming. That's probably the biggest reason I meditate. Those experiences, which don't come that frequently, but they come, they happen, and it's wonderful. And that's one of the reasons why I meditate. So let's just throw it open on, I'll go to the next one, and then we'll talk about several questions. How do you meditate? So for me, I go to the center to meditate because I'm not all that disciplined. And if I practice at home, I'm likely to get distracted, to think I need to get up and do the dishes, or I need to check my email, or I need to call somebody, or do this or do that. If I actually get in my car and go to another place, it's easier for me to discipline myself. And certainly the center has a unique energy. So the energy of the center helps me a lot. But so I go to the center. Most days I'll go there because I live very near, and I sit. And I sit for a long time, partially because my mind wanders a lot. When I was younger, I thought, well, if I meditate enough, for enough years and long enough and do it just right, my mind will stop wandering. That never happened. I've been doing it for a long, long time. And still, when I sit down to meditate, my mind wanders. I'd say there's two kinds of mental wandering I notice. One kind is just a thought comes and passes away, comes and passes away. The other kind, I'm sitting, following my breath, peaceful and serene. Thought comes and passes away, thought comes and passes away. And suddenly I realized that for the last 5 minutes, I've been thinking about my income taxes and have totally forgot that I was meditating. My mind does that. And most people's minds do that. If I sit long enough, and for me, it takes about an hour, that slows down a lot. It doesn't ever stop completely, but it slows down. And I go into a more interesting, relaxed state of mind. And I can still see the thoughts arising and passing away, but they do it more slowly. And I'm less likely to get caught in one, to have the experience where I totally forget that I'm meditating. That happens less frequently, although it continues to happen. And so then what practice am I actually doing? When I'm practicing Vipassana, also sometimes called mindfulness or insight meditation. When I first sit down, I just follow the breath, a simple physical sensation, the breath at the nostrils going in and out, because it's very easy to feel that and follow that. After I do that for a while, my mind slows down. I do body scanning, slowly moving my attention through the body and feeling different parts of my body. And then after I do that for a while, sometimes I just sit. I just sit and observe what's going on in the present moment. So I've talked enough for these first few questions. So the two questions we've talked about so far is, why do you meditate? And how do you meditate? So who else would like to share with us?
I'll jump in.
Good.
Oh, I'm echoing. You might need to mute while people are talking, because I think it's you. I'm not sure. See what happened. Wait, let me see who's on here. Okay. Yeah, there it's gone. Okay. So I've been meditating for a long time too, or whatever it is. And probably most people would say that what I do now is not meditation. I've tried different sorts of meditation. and, you know, and stuck with it for, you know, a year, a few years, a lot of years, and then kind of drifted into what I do now. And I have to be honest with myself, I have to say that I meditate, probably why I meditate, probably the main reason is to maintain some peace of mind, or to bring myself into a more peaceful state because of all the anxieties of dealing with the world, of which I have anxieties in spades. So it's kind of more like a self-help thing. And it's something that, regardless of the form it takes, I always do it first thing in the morning after I feed the cats and make my coffee. If I occasionally miss it due to an emergency, I feel it all day. You know, like people who exercise regularly, they feel it if they don't. And my meditation these days is not disciplined as far as its form. I do different things that take me into what some people call the second world, which is just this different state. And this may not be meditation at all, but it's just sometimes writing. You know, I keep a journal, and it's not a diary type journal. It's a thoughts, you know, thoughts that arise. And if that's what comes up that morning, that's what I do. If I don't feel anything coming up that morning, I'll just read a little bit, something spiritual, and then I'll just sit and just feel of where I am. But it really is not disciplined. And the main thing for me is setting up myself up for the day so that I can, and the last thing I do, and this is something I do every time, is that I pray. And my prayer is kind of, you know, more Buddhist oriented, but it's just sort of a prayer for, you know, everything. Me to enter the world, do good work, be kind and compassionate, be patient, step back before responding, and let me not be tempted by rabbits in their holes. So I'm going to stop now. That's mine.
Thank you, Cindy. So somebody else jump in. We want to discuss, and there's a value to discussing. Just take my word for it. It's like anything else. If you talk about your experience with a group of people, or I'll say my experience in talking to a group of people about my experience, is that it clarifies it for myself. And when I listen to other people, that's helpful to me. Like, I used to think everybody was a better meditator than me. Now I think I've pretty much dropped better and worse and the competitive thing. But I would sit there and my mind was just going and going and going and going. And I couldn't calm down. I couldn't come back to the breath. And I would think I'm the only person on earth that has this problem. And then I listened to other people describe their practice, and they had the same problem. And that was very helpful to me. So anybody here that wants to tell the truth about their experience with meditation will be helping not just yourselves, but the other people that are listening. So I'm going to shut up and let somebody else talk.
I'll jump in. This is Keith. Good morning, everyone. Or yeah, it is morning.
Good morning, Keith.
So I've been meditating on and off for a number of years, gotten a little more serious about it over the last few years. Kind of like you guys, mine is in the morning. I try to get to it before I do anything else, like before I open myself up to the world. I don't want to read news or anything that's going on before I do it. Mine is it's sitting. Generally, I do this method I learned from Ram Dass, where basically you recognize like your lower chest like rising and falling. So it's like rising, falling. My mind runs 9,000 miles an hour, and as soon as I open my eyes, so it's always moving around, and I'm always trying to bring it back. why I'm doing it ultimately is probably the same reason you guys are doing it. Ultimately, I'm hoping that it leads to some kind of enlightenment, but I think it's a step-by-step process. I'm in the process right now to where I just want to be able to have better control over my thoughts by being more aware of them. And what I found is when I'm meditating, sometimes I'll think I have what we call a bad meditation. I've got air quotes that you probably can't see. But that's because like my mind was just like, yeah, this, that, and the other. But the thing that I find fascinating is how just random thoughts are, because a thought will pop up that has no frame of reference at all, right? It might be from 30 years ago, from something that has no relation. We know how the brain likes to correlate things. This will have no space for it to correlate. And what that does for me is just let me know how random the mind is, and how it cannot be trusted in a lot of ways. And what has happened for me, and it's a infinitesimally slow process, is me being able to control my thoughts bleeds over into my waking day. So as I'm having struggles at work and my mind decides it wants to take me on this weird space that is not helpful, I'm able to catch that and walk away from it. Or in any situation, it's just been helpful in helping me to realize what I should be thinking about, if anything. And so hopefully this will lead to a next step in the next 9,000 lives, because we know this is a very, very slow process. But I am thankful for it, though it is sometimes it feels like a chore. But it's one of those things where it's like I lift weights and I don't like doing it, but I like looking good. So I'm going to lift weights. And so I like being able to have better control over my thoughts and not being able to let my mind run rampant. And meditation has been give me a great foothold to do so.
May I jump in? Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Keith, hi. I would like to share some of my thoughts and experience. Keith, you just took words out of my mouth when you say sometimes you feel like this is a chore. And there was a time in the early part when I began about, oh my gosh, 20, 30 years ago, to just sit and meditate. And so many times until now, I'm not over it. I have to divide my time like most of us. I have to cook dinner. I have to clean. Of course, my husband helps, but all these chores and telephones and writing and reading and you name and social things. So in the beginning, meditation was vying as if with all these other activities. So from that early thinking of meditation as one of the things to do or a chore, I think I am succeeding in changing my attitude, my perspective toward meditation. And now at least I have got rid of that chore part. It's not a chore. It's a pleasant, self-chosen, yes, discipline, but a discipline for the soul. Just like we take bath for the body. This to me is like taking a bath, my soul for my soul. And the way why I meditate. So this is to connect with my higher source. And every prayer that I have read, every prayer has this common denominator. It says that there is something deeper within you that connects to that highest source. So that source and you are not different, and we are one. So I try to sit with eyes folded, with a lighted lamp, and my way of meditating is to focus on one good thought, one noble thought, or a shloka, a prayer. And when I keep that prayer in my mind, and I have collected bunch and bunch of prayers from all over the world, and some are my favorite poems. And one particularly, Gandhiji's Vaishnava Jana To Tenere Kahiye. I call that person a true Vaishnava, a devotee of God who does this. So it is like killing two birds at a time. To lead your mind toward not stray thoughts, not what I have to do, who I have to call. Oh my gosh, my dal is burning on the stove. No. And that reminds me of a very funny thing that I, as a child, I used to watch my grandma keeping some time, and she had her prayer center in the kitchen. So she would put something on the stove, and while it is, for example, a pressure cooker, before the whistle sounds, she will spare that time to do her prayers and meditation. And in India, there used to be lots of stray dogs that come inside the house. So in the middle of meditation, she'll say, "Hare, hare, get out of the house." And that memory comes back. So I train myself not to do what she did, that when you are sitting there, that sitting itself is an
Uma,
exercise. So
Uma,
that's how it helps.
can
Yes.
you, I appreciate your comments. I'd like to keep moving along through this so I can get a whole bunch of people to talk and share
Sure.
their experience. Do you mind?
Sure. So I'm
Okay.
winding up.
Okay,
So
great.
this is why I want to train my mind to think, if at all I have to think of the higher thoughts. And that takes me somewhere where I want to reach, hopefully. So this is how meditation for me is a soul exercise, or a bath for the soul. And it helps me calm down. It increases my creativity, and it makes me a better person. So thank you. It's a wonderful subject. And I think it's time we discuss that.
Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, so let's, I'd like to hear from a lot of different people and get a lot of different perspectives. By show of hands, how many people here do practice meditation on a regular basis? All right, I can't. Okay, almost everybody. So you've all got some experience to share. So somebody else jump in and tell us either why you meditate or how you meditate, what happens, any problems. Just share with the group.
I can go next. Go ahead.
You want to go ahead or okay?
And go ahead, please go ahead. I'll go after you. Thank you.
Okay, so this is Swayam. I have been new to this just maybe about 2 to 3 years after I got initiation. So my meditation is the japa, and I've gone through the whole gamut with a beginner's luck where I would find the peace thinking, hey, this is great, to getting frustrated that I can never do this, and getting mad at myself, and then remembering Brother Shankara's thing as slow and all that, and not really having any vision or anything like that. But now my final point at which I try to sort of discipline, and I still cannot do it every day. I find it more hard when I have any kind of physical pain. But I try to focus on what I've heard from many swamis, that the mantra has the power of purifying the mind. And I know that my mind could use a lot of purification. So I just sit, and my meditation is more of a prayer. I repeat my mantra and some other shlokas, more as a prayer for purification of the mind. And that's all I wanted to share.
Okay, I'm Manjula from Virginia. Thank you for the opportunity to share this experience. I have been meditating on and off for many years, maybe 15, 20 years, but have been more disciplined for the last 4 years. And I use an app called Headspace. Maybe many of you know about that, and that does help me. I do it even now, not 100%, maybe 80% of the time, 80% of the days. I do fasting in the morning. I like what Uma said. I also read a prayer of some kind, and I actually use a book called God Makes the Rivers to Flow. It has the selections from the sacred literature of the world. And I read something to myself that kind of puts me in the right mindset. Other thing I do is I try to sit either in the deck in the nature, and when weather is cold, I sit at the window seeing the nature. That also centers me. The reason I meditate is to give me calm and peace and slow me down. So a lot of us, we have 100 things going on in our minds, wanting to do this, wanting to do that. That does help me a great deal doing this in the morning. It does make a difference the days I take the time to do it. And also using the app, he does give an intro depending on the kind of meditation you pick for the day. And that puts me also in the mindset, reading the prayer and Andy's 2-3 minute talk about the subject. I also do it to not only to give myself the calm and peace, but take care of the soul, take care of the spirit. I think most of us are very mind people. We all are so active in the mind. 90% of the time is racing. So I feel the time I take when I do, 80% of the time, that 15 minutes, I do focus not so much on my mind, on my breathing, calms me down. And actually, it makes me more productive during the day by being more centered and also being more present in what I'm doing and a little bit calmer. So that has been my practice, and I'm hoping to make it maybe half an hour from 15 minutes. Thank you.
About 35 years ago, I was married to a Hindu, and we used to start every morning with a puja and then continue on to meditation. When that ended, I continued with the meditation, but gradually stopped it. And the way I used to meditate would be to find a peaceful place in my mind and gradually go down the steps to this lake and mentally. And I would use Om as my mantra. And Om was the only prayer, the only focus that I used. And so I had guided meditation from cassette tapes. And what I got was an opening to the third eye. I was always looking for that, and it did come. And I felt that this was my time to listen to God. And that was the sole purpose, just to listen and see what I was supposed to learn for the day. Gradually, I got away from it, and now I would like to start it back again, but I feel that there's some sort of block keeping me from doing that. So that's where I am now. Thank you.
Can I share? So I've been meditating for on and off for about 4 to 5 years. It used to be in the morning and during the night, but then it just went to the night. It was kind of off and on, so I wasn't always meditating in the night, but later on in the last 3 years, I started meditating with my family in the night. So it's kind of difficult to summarize all the aspects of, I guess, my meditation experience. but fundamentally, I felt that it was difficult to stick to Vipassana meditation. That was the meditation I was first introduced to. That was the meditation I think Tom was talking about. So I had some success with Vipassana in the beginning, in terms of feeling in general more peaceful. But for some reason, I just became a little discouraged. I felt like I wasn't getting the kind of transformative experience I was really wanting. Just as I think one of you talked, it's a 9,000 year experience, 9,000 live experience. It takes a long time really to develop. So I really felt like I wasn't getting the results I wanted. So the main meditation practice I stick to nowadays, when I do it, I really just in general don't enjoy it. As some of you guys are saying, I kind of see it as a chore. I just stick to doing nothing, just kind of doing nothing, sometimes breathing, but sometimes when I focus too much on my breath, I get too caught up in the senses. And so it's been kind of a battle to kind of find a balance between not getting too caught up in my senses and just finding a way to meditate that can bring me a sense of peace. And from extended periods of meditation, which I've done through some retreats, I've done a few retreats here and there where I just did nothing during my meditation. I found that I really experienced a lot of a deep sense of peace after those meditation retreats. But in general, my meditation experience is quite off and on.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else would like to say something?
Well, I'd like to.
Thank
My meditation is pretty disciplined. I meditate at between 5 and 6 every morning, so it's very quiet, and I sit and I do an eye exercise, which allows me to just calm down. And while I'm doing the eye exercise, with every breath, I use the mantra. Then when I finish the eye exercise, I concentrate on different religions. I concentrate on Christianity and Christ, which was my first experience in religion. Then I concentrate on Hinduism, on Krishna. Then I concentrate on Buddha. Then I concentrate on my family, my ancestors. And after that, I concentrate on all religions that contribute to the world. Then after that, I close my eyes. I have a little bell that I ring, and then I pray. I do prayer to the whole world. And after the prayer, I concentrate on prana. I do 27 slow breaths, with each ending with the And I have the prana leaving Sahasrara, going down through all of the chakras to the root chakra. Then the inhale, and it comes back up through Ada, then down through Pinava, and back up with the next breath. And I do 27 of those. And when I finish with that, I just kind of sit and allow my mind to just not think of anything that's worldly. I have disciplined my mind over the years that I give it space to concentrate on certain things, but it never stops. But I don't allow it to talk about mundane things when I'm in a spiritual mode. And the mind is very shrewd. It will take the mundane things and make them appear to be spiritual things. It will comment on the meditation, and then it will try to take the meditation where I don't want it to go. And I have to constantly bring it back and threaten it. If it doesn't come back, I will shut it off. And that kind of works sometimes. It will kind of stop. And at a point, it's over and I stop. But I kind of allow my feelings and my modes and what's going on in meditation to determine when the end approaches. During the meditation, I generally get, not generally, but sometimes I get information, ideas that come that I did not have before. And it's things that I don't know, so it didn't come from me. I know it comes from some other place, someplace beyond. And it kind of guides me through my daily life about the revelations that I've had during the meditation. Then after the meditation is over, I read the Upanishads, and I have a book called Revelations that has different information. It was written by Swami.
Robert,
And
excuse me for interrupting you, but can you wrap it up pretty quick? Because I got a bunch of stuff I want to go over and we're running out of time.
Okay. And I just read one a day.
Okay, great. Thank you. I wanted to briefly comment on what a number of people have said about meditation being a chore. My experience at this point is it's not a chore. I've had a lot of problems with anxiety on and off throughout my life. It's probably genetically based. I used to think that meditation would clear that up. It helps a little bit, but it has not cleared it up. I would still probably be diagnosed as a person with an anxiety disorder in spite of huge amounts of meditation. So I went through a period recently where I was feeling really disappointed about what I was getting from meditation. And I said, I'm going to quit. This doesn't work, because I had the idea that it was supposed to do something for me. And my girlfriend, who has no interest in meditation, but is an astute observer of human nature, just said, but you like to meditate. And that's the truth. I really don't know that it's going to make me a better person, but I like doing it. I just go there, and it's a very enjoyable experience. It's more enjoyable than most of the other things I do to try to enjoy my life, like watching TV or reading books or stuff like that. I used to smoke marijuana a good bit when I was younger. And I would smoke marijuana because it would put me in this relaxed, altered state. There's also all kinds of problems with smoking marijuana. But anyway, I smoked a lot of it to go into a relaxed, altered state. I find that meditation puts me in a similar state, except in a healthier way and in a deeper way. So I'm doing it out of joy and pleasure. Flossing my teeth is a chore. I floss my teeth because if I don't, I'll get cavities, I'll lose my teeth. Meditation is not a chore for me at this point. It's a pleasure. I want to go on. This time is going by pretty quickly. We're not going to be able to cover all of these questions. But I'd like to go on to the next question, which is what happens? So for me, what happens, I've covered a lot of this. The mind wanders a lot. Often, if I sit long enough, it slows down, but it never stops completely. We talked about the two different kinds of mind wandering. The one kind of mind wandering is that I see the thought, but I don't get caught up in it and it just passes. The other type of mind wandering is that I suddenly realize that I've been thinking about something for the past several minutes and totally forgot I was meditating. So both of those happen, but the longer I sit, the less they happen. Another thing that happens sometimes is very difficult and painful emotions can come up. Just the opposite of what I want to feel. You know, I want to feel happy, joyous, and free, and I feel sorrow, anger, depression, anxiety. Those things come up, and the instructions I've been given is just to observe them, and they pass. And it's true. They all, no state of mind stays forever. They all pass. Okay, but then to go into what we would call the spiritual experiences or altered states of consciousness that happen with meditation. There's reasons to talk about this stuff we'll just call them spiritual experiences. There's reasons to talk about them and there's reasons not to talk about them. The reasons to talk about them are just because it's good. I think it's good to talk about all of our experience, to know that these things happen. They don't happen for everybody. Let's see, I think I'll talk about the reasons not to talk about them. Okay, so the spiritual experiences happen for some people and not for others. So then there's a tendency, I've noticed in myself, a tendency when these things first started to happen to think I was special in some way. You know, like I'm a big deal. I had this amazing opening experience and all sorts of wonderful things happened and, you know, visions and ecstasies and so on. That was just my ego grabbing onto the experience to try to make me special. So it's good to hear from other people to realize how common these things are. That's helpful. On the other hand, in talking about them, I noticed at one point I could become sort of a braggart, or I wanted to show off by describing my experiences. And that's obviously is a problem. Another reason not to talk about them is sometimes it's just really personal. You know, just like it's like talking about a romantic experience. It's something that's private and that you just don't want to share with other people, and that's just fine. Another reason not to talk about them is that you really can't talk about them. They're generally beyond language, beyond words, and can't be spoken about. So what else? I have a bunch of notes here. That's good enough. So we're just going to add the question, what happens, to the topic. And we've only got about 15 minutes left, and I'd like to hear from a lot of different people. So try to keep your comments down to like 3 or 4 minutes. And who else would like to jump in now?
I have one comment. There must be something tangible about the fact that both historically and, as you said, Tom, through meditation experience or through prayer, that there is this sort of response, that there is some sort of response. I think someone else was talking about it, from which there's no logical understanding from. There's a response to prayer. There's a response to meditation. And yeah, that's my comment.
Thank you.
I'll drop something there. It'll be pretty quick. I haven't had any super revelatory situations like you as of yet, Tom. I do get in spaces sometimes though where all I can really describe it is kind of a mild ecstasy, because it doesn't feel like enrapturing, but there's definitely, it's just a vibration that's felt where I feel like I am connecting like with everything at once. So I will have that sometimes. It is super rare because most of the time my mind is like, hey, go do this, go do that. Hey, hey, hey. But every now and then when it really quiets down and my breath gets in a very nice in and out rhythm, I'll just be in that space. And it may be for 3 or 4 seconds, but it's pretty awesome.
Hello, Tom. This is Haima.
Hi.
Hi, Tom. I just want to add, I do morning, first thing in the morning, just like brushing before brushing teeth and just before going to bed after brushing teeth. This has become part of my life, at least 15 to 20 minutes. Mostly I focus on inhale, exhale, breathing. That is very important to me. And self-realization, I meditate for self-realization, connect with my own divinity so I can see divine power in other people around me. And the benefits, ill-healthy ego went down, ripened the healthy ego, more accepting of my imperfections, and so that I could accept others' imperfections, and more forgiving of self and others around me. And it has, meditation helped me not to react to the worldly things around me, respond to it in a proper way. That's it, leave it alone. Result is just leave it to God, leave it to God. And it developed equanimity and forbearance and focus. Number one, I used to do a million things and I am more focused. So these are the benefits, and meditation also has been proven to be leads to less medication, which I don't have any medication so far, thank God, except one for thyroid disease. So that's all I see. And insight has developed, tremendous insight. So that's it. I will close it with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've been meditating for a little over 30 years. There have been 2 phases or periods, one very comfortable and happy, and another actually painful. It got started for me when I was sharing about a troubling situation with a group of guys from whom I was taking spiritual advice, and they said to me, they asked me, have you prayed about this? No. Try praying about this. Try praying. So I started praying. And for me, verbal prayer, prayer using words has not been very comfortable unless it's a memorized prayer. And prayer just turned into meditation. I just, the pauses became longer and longer and the words fewer and fewer, and then it was just no words. That went on for quite a while, probably 12 years or so. During that, I was really very comfortable. I meditated morning and evening, roughly about an hour both times. One time, I would occasionally just go on retreat at home and have long periods of meditation throughout the day, like maybe 6 hours altogether. One time I had a writing assignment that I was anxious about, and I decided to, the deadline was coming up, and I decided to go on retreat at home. I spent 6 hours, approximately 2-hour blocks throughout the day, maybe 8 hours, I don't remember. I didn't eat anything except liquids. I went to the Y, but I just sat in the steam room. I didn't do workout. The next day, I started on the writing and I finished the project. After I'd been, toward the end of this period, through the church that I was attending, a priest who was interested in Buddhism took us to the Soto Zen Center. And that was attractive to me. I'd read a little of Zen literature, and I liked the advice, just sit. However, they changed my posture, not radically. It was not greatly different from what I had developed on my own, but it was a very rigid spine. And when I started sitting like that, when I sat down to meditate, it felt like a cramp in my abdomen. And they said to me, the Zen people said, that's resistance to the practice, keep sitting. Well, 5 years later, my whole body was in pain. And there was no way that I could meditate. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't work. This went on for a couple of years. I don't know exactly how I got beyond the pain. There are still residuals of it. I've gotten to the place where I can meditate now. It's about a half an hour morning and evening, but it's not entirely comfortable. When I sit down, there's always a kind of a knot in my stomach that is one of the residuals of that pain episode. And when I sit down to meditate, it's like this wave goes up my torso, the front of my torso. I end up feeling like there's this heavy steel plate in my chest, and like my esophagus is being pulled down into my abdomen. It's not real comfortable, but I keep doing it. And lately I've been having a sense that possibly just sitting, continuing to sit, breathing deeply, that meditation might dissolve this cramp in my abdomen. I hope so. But that's my experience so far.
Thank you. And I'll jump in because I want to say something about the the strict sitting straight and not moving at all type of meditation, which is taught at a lot of the Zen centers and other places. Now that works for a lot of people. A lot of people have wonderful experiences with that. I don't want to put it down, but it doesn't work for everybody, and it can do harm to the body. You can do a Google on meditation knee surgery and find the number of people who have damaged their knees by trying to sit in full lotus for long periods of time. It can definitely be a problem. So I had teachers who told me to sit through the pain. That might be a good idea some of the time, but I don't attempt to sit through the pain anymore. If I hurt, I move. If I hurt a lot, I sit in a chair or got a bad back. If I'm sitting on a cushion and something hurts, I move, I get into a chair. I personally do not believe in sitting through the pain anymore. But I don't want to say that doesn't work, because I know for some people it does work. Okay, thank you. We've just got a few minutes left, but I bet there's somebody sitting here that's been wanting to talk and hasn't said anything, and this is your chance.
Yeah, that would be me. Some people said some things today that I did feel I wanted to respond to. You had mentioned that you had smoked marijuana at a younger age, and I've observed that a lot of people that were former marijuana smokers take very well to meditation. And I think that's why they tried marijuana, is they were looking for something that their life couldn't give them. And marijuana didn't work, so they tried meditation. That's my thought. You had also mentioned location. And I think that's real important. I do find meditation does go deeper when you're at a holy place, like the shrine at the center. Or one time I meditated at Swami's Oak at the Ridgely Retreat, and I had a very deep meditation there. That was very good. Manjula had mentioned the book, God Makes Rivers Flow, and I thought that was interesting because that was a meditation I used to practice. It was by Eknath Easwaran, and you meditate on a holy scripture. Before that, I did transcendental meditation. That was good too. But I think that the best meditations I've gotten were the initiation from a monk of the Ramakrishna order. Keith had mentioned lifting weights as work. I actually enjoy lifting weights. I don't do it anymore with COVID, but I do push-ups and chin-ups now. And I find the way to enjoy it is to listen to MP3s that you like. That kind of helps you get into it. And one last thing with the distractions. One thing I found when the distractions are just too strong, and I can't meditate, and I'm just thinking all this thought, I time my breathing with the mantra. One breath in, one mantra. One deep breath out, one mantra. And that helps me get back into the meditation and not fretting about all the worldly thoughts. And those are my thoughts on meditation.
Thank you. And, you know, it probably doesn't matter if we run over a few minutes. So who else is sitting here thinking that they want to talk and they've been hesitant? We'd love to hear from you.
I'd like to say something. You know, someone mentioned having a bad meditation. And I had a bad meditation this morning because I didn't do it. And the reason I didn't do it is because I didn't set an alarm. I slept too late. I didn't feel like doing it. It was already late enough that I felt like I needed to have a cup of coffee. And for myself, I need to prioritize meditation and set up a structure in my life, kind of like what Robert was saying, that makes it very easy to do it, which means getting up at a certain time, not drinking coffee or not doing anything else before I do it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I think the power of prayer mantras and gratitude, particularly the law of attraction as it relates to meditation. I don't know if you guys know what the law of attraction is, but that's something I forgot to say. It's doing gratitude meditations have helped me a lot. I think even more so than Vipassana.
Okay, I'm looking at the number of participants. People come and go, but some people are starting to leave. But I'd like to hear from somebody who hasn't said anything yet. You haven't said a word, and there's something that you would deep down really like to share with the group. Who's that person? Jump in now. Okay, it seems like everybody said what they want to say. And
Tom, can I add one thing?
Yes, sir.
This isn't directly about meditation, but something I wanted to share with you guys. I thought you might find it interesting, and I'm going to put it in the chat. There is a film on Gaia called Infinite Potential, The Life and Ideas of David Bohm. He was a quantum physician, or physicist, I should say. And it is very related to what we do, because the ideas that quantum physicists are coming to are ideas that the rishis had thousands of years ago. I thought it might be something that people might find interesting, because it is a somewhat scientific validation of what has been being said in this culture and in this tradition for thousands of years. I just dropped it in the chat if anybody wants to check it out.
Thank you. Thank you. And one thing I'd like to say, first, I can't see the green thing on my screen. Can everybody that can hear me, would you wave your hand? It's fine. Okay, so it's still working. We did this last year in person at the center, and now we're doing it on Zoom. I'm really grateful for Zoom. It's a whole lot better than nothing, but it's not the same as getting together with everybody face to face in the center. And I'm really looking forward, as we all get vaccinated, to seeing you again face to face in the center. So everybody, please hurry, get your vaccination so we can start getting together again. That's it for me. I think Shankar is going to say a prayer at the end, but I don't see him.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I just turned off my video.
Okay.
And I could hear you the whole time, Tom, and everyone else as well. I second Tom's thanks for everyone for being here this morning, for participating in this. This is the way we study the art of spirituality together, to share with one another our lives and our hearts and our experiences. And I also second Tom's emotion that I look forward to us being able to get back together. Probably that won't happen till June. The prognostication is that virtually everyone will be vaccinated by May. I just had my second shot on Friday. And I know a lot of other people are having their first and second shots. So the momentum is picking up, and we will gather together as soon as it is practical and as soon as the scientists tell us that we're not in danger of spreading the virus when we do get together. So I very much look forward to that. I miss you very much. Though I agree with Tom that this Zoom is a wonderful way for us to get together and share. And we will not stop Zooming our gatherings when we begin to meet face to face, because there are a number of people who join us from distant locations, Las Vegas, Denver, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and so on. New York, I think I saw Sharmila. Yes, there's Sharmila. We will continue to Zoom both our classes and our Sunday talks, and allow this kind of participation, not just allow, encourage this kind of participation. Tom, thanks for leaving me a few minutes to talk. Any final thoughts from anyone before I close with our prayers?
I just want to add one thing, Brother Shankara.
Yes,
it's like Tom said, you think of taxes and all these things come in when I'm doing meditation, but I myself pull that mantra back again and then start doing it, even though the other chitter chatter keeps coming and going. Continue to sit and do it. That's it. That's what I've been doing. Thank you.
Yes. Eventually, as Tom says, what happens if you sit long enough?
Yes.
You, in my experience, these are just my words for it. You sink below the level of the left mind chatter, and it goes on like people playing at the surface of a pool, and you're sitting at the bottom of the pool in the silence.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
So, and I would just like to emphasize that we have been told, both by Krishna in the Gita and by every Swami I've ever encountered and every Pravrajika I've ever heard speak, that every moment you spend in spiritual effort is a moment well spent. Those we spend in the practice of contemplation, concentration, and meditation are extraordinarily potent because they help us learn to control our mental vagaries, our mental wanderings. So this was wonderful this morning, everyone sharing their ways and experiences of the practice of meditation. It was joyous. So again, any final thoughts from anyone before I close with our prayers?
Yes, I have one final thought. I have noticed that my meditation evolves. It's quite different now than it was last year. And it was quite different the year before, and as you go back, and it kind of evolves. And I feel that the evolution of it is an improvement.
Amen.
I'm refining as it goes on. It gets
Amen.
more and more
All
refined.
that, Robert. Yes. And Swami Vivekananda will tell us that's because we are uncovering more of the truth that lies within through the practice of contemplation, concentration, and meditation. And that's why the evolution occurs. Thank you, Robert. My experience is the same.
Shankar,
Yes, dear.
I wanted to add one thought. I wanted to acknowledge the effect of long-term meditation. And if there is one idea behind any spiritual practice, whether it is japa or meditation or spiritual prayers or whatever, I think it is self-transformation. And what I realized over the years, after long practice, that what Swami Yogeshananda used to say, the art of non-reaction. And that art of non-reaction to any nasty comment, any toxicity around, that helps. I think meditation truly helped me to just not react to any exciting or irritating things. That's one.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Uma. It improves the entire universe.
Yes.
As Albert Einstein observed, there is no such thing as separation. When anything in the universe vibrates, the entire universe vibrates. So when there is a negative vibration and we don't react to it in kind, and especially if we react to it in a positive manner, whether we say anything about it or not, we vibrate the whole universe in a more auspicious way.
And I
So thank you.
And second thing it taught me was patience. I was so impatient, and I see that change in me. And people around me also say that spontaneity is wonderful, but impatience is not.
Oh, absolutely. Well, impatience is just a waste of our time. Impatience is just another distraction that keeps us from allowing our attention to focus on the reality. We enjoy all sorts of distractions, and impatience is one that's a favorite of many. It's just an expression of rajas. That's all it is. We're projecting something that isn't in the moment that we believe should be in the moment, and so on. So, well, without me getting on my stump here, nobody came this morning for that. So, and any final thought from anyone else? Thank you for sharing, Uma.
Thank you.
Shankara?
Yes, dear.
This is Laurie.
Yes, dear.
I just have a hard time sinking deeper into meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if you could share with us how you sink deeper.
Well, without taking too much time, let me just say that it is the art of learning to observe what is trying to interrupt you. And then very politely and lovingly saying no to it. Saying, yes, I understand, I recognize you, whatever it is. But when you sit in that witness seat and see what it is that's trying to interrupt you, and you observe over time, you see there is a pattern to the thoughts that try to interrupt you. And so then it's like seeing the pattern in a tapestry. Oh, I know that pattern, so I don't need to pay that much attention to it anymore. And without being impatient or angry with it, just say, no, I'm returning to my practice, whatever the practice is, whether it be mantra or visualization or breath, watching the breath, or the many other techniques of practicing meditation. But it is the art of learning to sit in that witness seat and simply seeing what it is that's trying to interrupt you and not permitting it, but in a loving way. Because the mind will fight with us if we give it the opportunity to. So we simply say, I see you, and not now, thank you. And then you just go on with your practice, and slowly you'll find that your breath slows and the thoughts are coming fewer and farther apart, and you're sinking into the silence. Thank you for asking, Lori.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Anything else from anyone? All right, Tom, Carr, thank you very much for doing this. This was so capably done and so productive, I think, of exactly what it means to study the art of spirituality together.
My pleasure. I'm glad I could do it.
Thank you, Tom.
And we'll ask you back another time, particularly, as you say, when we have the opportunity to get together face to face. And we all look forward to that. I think those of us who can take advantage of it. But the promise is there to those of you who are enjoying these gatherings from a distance. We will not stop that. You will be your presence and your interest is honored. So with that, we'll close with our regular closing prayer, which is so much needed right now. So many of you know this prayer. If you do know this prayer, say it with me either mentally out or out loud, and let's vibrate the universe in this way with this deep intention. Let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let that infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. And to those of you gathered together, our final salutation, Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga, Durga, Durga. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. Go forward in Mother's loving and protective embrace. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga, Durga, Durga. Until next time, for those of you who wish to join us, the next time will be tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock when we have our reading and discussion group on the book Love Poems from God. Any final thought from anyone? All right.
Thanks, Tom, and everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tom and Brother Shankar and everybody.
Bye all.